Look at you with your alt army.
Well, it's not really
Okay,
well,
it's an alt troop. It's
Yes.
a troop. It's like the local Boy Scouts.
You're listening to the Goblin Goldcast with Dex and Mac. I got mouths to feed, so let's get this thing started. Time is money, friend.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Azeroth. You're listening to the Goblin Goldcast, your guide to gold making in World of Warcraft. This is episode 1. I'm your host, Dex, coming to you from the beautiful wine country of Northern California. Joining me on Skype is my co-host Mac from the frigid north of Anchorage, Alaska. How you doing, Mac?
I'm doing pretty good. Glad to be here today. Came back recently to WoW. I've been playing off and on for a long time, but came back about a month ago. Decided to start over on a brand new server. You have always impressed me by the way you're able to make cash in a game, so I put some of your information to the test. And we went out looking for other information on how to make gold in the game, and there wasn't anything out there.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed making gold or making whatever the currency is in the game that I've been playing, and it's always been a fun part of the game for me. And when we came back to the game, I thought, well, I'm interested in this, so I'm going to find a podcast that I can listen to on gold making. And as you kind of alluded to, not really anything out there. And if there is, somebody has a podcast out there where you cover gold making, I apologize. I just wasn't able to find it. There's seems to be a lot of people streaming and YouTube videos, certainly. But you're driving down the road on the way to work or on the way home from work and need something to listen to. You kind of hard to watch a YouTube video when you do that.
I bet the CHP frowns upon that.
They do. They kind of frown on that here in California. It's one of those things that's still illegal here. But that's another show.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the idea for this podcast, in a nutshell, was we would talk about different ways to make gold. That would be the main focus. We would also talk about a few maybe non-gold making topics, like maybe talking about how we spend our gold, which it's always fun to spend the gold and not just pile it up in a big pile and jump in it like Scrooge McDuck. But I mean, that sounds fun too. But basically, that's what we're talking about. Another thing that we could be talking about is power leveling is another thing that I enjoy doing that goes hand in hand with gold making. Having an alt army certainly helps, especially with garrisons. That was awesome. That was a lot of gold. It's going away, and that's okay.
It'll give us a chance to find when the new expansion goes live or the new pre-patch of the expansion goes live. It'll give us a chance to find new ways to make gold. They're taking some of the current ways out there, which basically takes away some of the boredom from the game. Because right now you come in every day, do your garrison chores. Right now I'm trying to get the last little bit of cash I can out of the jewel making, jewel crafting dailies and things like that. But when those start becoming resource points versus cash, I probably will not be doing those daily and find something else to do.
Oh, absolutely. And so our topics this week, we're going to talk about the coming changes to garrisons and how to keep it viable for Legion, because there are a lot of changes, and I for one plan to spend a lot less time in my garrison. But there are passive ways to make income with it. And the other topic, we want to talk a little bit about deflation in Legion. I personally think there will be deflation. Some people think there's going to be inflation. And we can talk about that, and might be a little bit of a debate on that, or we may agree. Who knows? But first, Mac, why don't you tell me, how was your week in WoW? Did you do anything interesting this week? Anything that stands out?
I've been working on my engineering with my rogue. One of the ways, because when I came back about a month ago, I started brand new on a new server, again, trying to make cash. You had about a 3-month head start on me with garrisons, so you had a lot more cash.
A little bit.
Yeah. Once you start getting to a certain point, you can start increasing your cash. It starts multiplying a little more. I'm up to about 100K. I don't have a lot of playtime. This week, I discovered that I needed some things in Pandaria, that silly little farm out there in Pandaria at Half Hill. And I started working on that so I could get Motes of Harmony, which are right now the Motes of Harmony to make Spirits of Harmony on our server go for about 8 gold apiece, or 80 gold for the Spirit of Harmony.
Right.
And for the things I'm going to be making with them, it's just too expensive.
Right. There are a lot of things that are changing that are going to make that very viable and necessary in some cases, like for instance, the Potion of Luck getting grayed out and not being useful is going to eliminate a lot of Motes of Harmony and a lot of Trillium ore and Ghost Iron ore, for that matter, from the game.
Well, I'm working over there with Farmer Yoon out there in Half Hill, trying to build up my farm out there, so I can start actually farming Motes of Harmony.
I regret that I never did that. I was gone for almost all of Miss the Pandaria. I came back for like the last couple of months maybe of that, and it was not something I decided to pursue, and I may have to revisit that at some point, but you know.
So, fortunately, I was revered on another server, and so that carries across your BattleNet account. So I'm able to get twice the faction for that.
Gotta love that double faction.
Oh, it's awesome.
A little bit of a boost. My alt army needs that.
Yeah, I don't quite have the alt armies that you have set up. I've got a few, but
anything else this week that stands out that you want to tell people about?
No, it would have been the week before when I got the ashes first time through, not realizing how rare a mount it was.
Ashes of Alar. See, now I'm gonna have to tell about my week because that ties in with mine. So, well, going back 2 weeks, actually, people that know me know that I've been trying to get Ashes of Alar for a very long time. I'm one of those guys that's probably tried to get it 300 to 400 times. Many alts that I brought through and never had any luck. And I've gotten frustrated from time to time and backed off of it. And then decided to show you the camp. You'd never even been in the zone before.
No.
Brought you through, and then you and I broke group, and we got our own separate instances to go through. And I thought you were pulling my leg when you said that you got it. And then everybody in guild gets to see you get the achievement for beating the raid, followed by the achievement of Ashes of Alar. And I was not alone in hating you at that point. And then the very next day, I go out on another alt, and I get it the very first run through. So I don't know. I just I don't know whether to hate you or think that you're my lucky charm.
Oh, there we go. Well, I'm still having problems with the mount and Stone Core, so that's
right.
That's my
right.
That's
and
my nemesis.
I've had that one rot on me, and I've had the Flame Talon in Firelands rot on me too, where I was the only one in, and I already had it. So I've had really good luck with other mounts. It's just Ashes was just a sticking point, and now I have it. And but this week I've been doing my usual making gold in the garrison while it's still around, because it's going to be changing a lot, the gold missions and things like that are going away. So concentrating on doing a lot of that stuff, because I'll have a lot of free time when 7.0 drops, which most of us are expecting that on July 19th, which is coming up in just a few days here. But I've been chasing down mounts. I'm up to 173 as of today. I added the Grove Warden today, and I also added the blue Drake from Eye of Eternity. Did that. So it's been going well. So our first topic this week is Garrison's post 7.0. I wanted to go over some notable changes.
first change, gold missions are gone. And when I say gold missions are gone, there's still going to be some missions, I believe, that will have some gold, but the real lucrative ones are going away, and they are being replaced with garrison resource missions. Also, the treasure hunter followers that go hand in hand with that will be replaced with what they are calling, I'm calling them super resource followers, but they're like, there's another name for them. And basically, they give 200% increase to garrison resources. So hopefully they'll raise the cap above 10,000 on garrison resources, because you're going to be able to bump up against that pretty quick, I think. So I know for you, those two things there, it's kind of a bummer because you haven't been able to soak up the thousands and thousands or millions, whatever the case may be, of gold from that, like others have been able to do, because you haven't been back that long.
Nope. I've since I've been back with I've got about 50K left on me with all the spending. I've been buying mounts and things like that, but I've made about 100K brand new to the server within the last month, and
which is awesome, by the way. That's, most people can't do that just coming in.
And I don't raid. I'm a casual player. That's another thing. You and I have never been big raiders. We're more into the making cash in the game.
And so it's the focus has been different. I know we've always enjoyed the group content.
Correct.
Get a tight group of people, about 5 people going in, and 4 to 5 people running through and taking stuff out. That was just more our thing than the massive raid where if one person makes a mistake, everybody wipes. Not as much fun for me. It's some people, it's their thing, and I respect that, but not really mine. The Jewelcraft daily, which I personally I love that daily. I have. I think I got 30 or 35 characters that do that every day. Way too many. It's getting to be a lot of work just popping in and hitting that quest. But it's going to go from awarding the 150 to 300-ish gold every day to awarding 250 garrison resources. And so even more garrison resources. The inscription hut, the merchant orders, anybody that does those where you get a mismatched merchant order and you have to pair them up and they turn into these receipts that sell for either 75 gold or 225 gold. They have had their value, they still vendor, and that still works, but they've had their value reduced by 90%. Not even worth doing anymore. The alchemist stones, which is another thing that I do. I have many alchemists. I make these stones and you vendor them and they go for 25 gold and change. It's got a small reduction. It's going down to about 21 gold. That, that's kind of a wait and see thing, whether that's going to be worth it. Going to have to kind of see what happens with frostweed. It's going to probably become harder to get. Price is going to go up on it, so that may not be worth doing in the end. Do you make the stones right now?
I do make the stone. I do make the stones right now. I've started saving up on my catalysts for using. I'm going to be using it in a different crafting.
Right.
Making the mats that drop off that rare trader guy Nicholas Mitrick in the garrison.
Right. You're going to make Savage Bloods.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, most people use a barn for that, but if you have a barn, you're going to have to take the time to go out and trap and everything. Barn is not something that I have pursued, which is kind of odd considering the other things I've done. I know a lot of people made a lot of gold with the barn. It was not what I pursued.
I haven't been back long enough. I've only got 2 level 3 garrisons in the game right now. I've been back. I've been happy that my first month back I was able to make 100K. I've spent about half of it, but I'm trying to get up there to gold cap here within the next couple months.
Well, the new gold cap, so good luck with that.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true.
Just
is that when the patch hits, or is that when the expansion hits?
You know what? I think it changes with the pre-patch. I think it's with 7.0 pre-patch is the cap going up. I'm not 100%, but I do believe that that's when it happens. I'm almost sure.
I guess we'll find out soon.
We will find out soon. Another thing that's changed, we talked about all these extra garrison resources. We're going to be seeing tons and tons of it coming in. And before people start thinking too much about, wow, I'm going to have so much sumptuous fur, I'll be able to make hexweave bags like crazy. You will be able to. But the trading post prices for crafting mats have doubled as well. So used to be, it is right now still, as a matter of fact, until the pre-patch, where 4 garrison resources is the low price and 10 is the high price. It's changing from 8 to be the low price and 20 to be the high price. So it's doubling. And so it might end up being kind of a wash, as far as, getting more resources, but everything costing more. Anyway, the smuggled sack of gold. And with the increase in garrison resources, they sure decided to get rid of that. So it's gone. In case you don't know, you can buy a bag of gold with garrison resources right now, and it's a random amount of gold that varies. But it's a way to cash it out to where if you have any garrison resources, you can kind of cash them out for gold. It's not a great exchange rate right now. It's not the preferred way to do it because you're much better off buying sumptuous fur or frostweed or whatever mats that you need. You're doing better doing that than the sack of gold. But anyway, they're getting rid of that, and so that won't be an option anymore. Salvage crates. They are no longer, if you have a salvage yard, salvage crates that you get from missions, they're no longer going to drop random gear, and the vendor prices on the gear that it drops being reduced down to a few coppers. So some people were vendoring stuff from that and making a bit of gold. They're doing away with that. And also the follower upgrade items, the things that let you upgrade your followers eye level, those vendor prices have been reduced also all the way down to a few copper. Final change I was going to talk about with the garrison is Fellblight is going to be sold by the primal trader for 25 primal spirits because Fellblight needed another reason for its price to completely crash.
They've always got to take away our fun ways to make money.
I was secretly happy when the price of Fellblight on all of my servers crashed. The prices just plummeted, and it's going to be even worse. And that's, I guess that makes sense. We're going to have new crafting mats coming out with Legion, and this is going to be left in the dust, sure. But it had a use in the meantime, and its price is going to go way down. So, how do you feel about the changes to Garrison, Mac? Are you happy about them?
Not really. Like I said, I've only been back a month. I was just starting to enjoy making the easy cash with just the garrison every day, and that's going away. And just have to get more creative and find other ways to do that. Like I said, the farm out there at Half I'll be making the moats and the Spirit of Harmony for doing my mounts with my engineer and selling those.
Right. I'm kind of conflicted. I feel like the guy who works this really, really hard job where he's, breaking big rocks with a hammer all day, but he's making bank. He's making tons and tons of money. And he gets laid off from his job. And he's thinking, I get a vacation, I feel that way kind of about garrisons. They've made a lot of money for me, but they've taken up a lot of my time. And I put a lot of work into them. And I don't mind going to something else. And there's always a way to make gold. And I've been making gold the same way for what seems like forever. And I'm really ready to move on from it. It was kind of hard to walk away from it when it was, the best way to make passive gold in the game.
Right. So what do you think your changes are going to be to your garrison after post-patch?
Well, I'm thinking that, first off, I have salvage yards. Don't even care about those anymore. I'm not going to be worrying about them. Jewelcraft Daily is dead to me. I'm sorry, I'm not trading a bunch of ore for 250 garrison resources when I'm going to be swimming in it anyway. So Jewelcraft Daily's dead. Inscription receipts, I don't need a few copper for that, so won't be bothering with that either. That's not something I need to do. So I'm basically I've got a lot of alts that will log in to collect their garrison resources, and when the fur trader has the when the trader building has the prices down low for sumptuous fur, I'll be buying that because I have a lot of tailors that are going to be making hex weave bags. So I'll make hex weave bags like crazy because, in case you don't know, there is not a new big craftable bag in Legion. They have a new bag, but it's a much smaller one. Hex weave is going to be king, and prices of that are going to go up. I was one of the ones that thought that one might go down in the beginning in Legion because I thought we'd have a new bag. We're not going to have one, so I've changed my mind on that. They're gonna skyrocket. And I've already seen a big increase on a couple of my servers for sure. If the cost of Frostweaved is reasonable, I'll possibly continue making and vendoring alchemist stones, but I think the price of that's going to creep up. And I don't obviously do my herb garden anymore. As you can imagine, with as many alts as I've got, it's not reasonable for me to try to do that or to mine my mine. So my accumulation of mats is through the auction house or through garrison resources. So that'll probably be gone too. What about you?
Well, I don't have the garrison resources, and I'm still doing a little bit of research on how profitable this farmland in Half-Hill is going to be. That's where I'm putting my effort through this week. I should have it upgraded and be able to start making items at it next week, and then I'll find out.
Yeah. With the potion of luck going away and graying out.
Yeah,
you're going to need a source of trillium if you want to keep making those sky golems, right?
Right, and I just planted the seeds to see how much trillium drops from a 16 plot unit. So we'll see how that works. Yeah. But I've got on one server I've got probably about 10 tunes that can do that, and on another server on the new server I'm starting to work on that as well.
Look at you with your alt army.
Well, it's not really
okay. It's an alt troop.
Yeah,
it's a troop. It's like the local Boy Scouts,
Yeah, more of a Cub Scout pack. Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know you had that many that could do Half-Hill. I'm jealous. I have 0 that are set up to do Half-Hill.
Well, like I said, it's all on the other server where I did that, but all my level 100s, or all of them. Both my level 100s are on the new server. So right. The other server I haven't been spending a lot of time in. I've just been over there making cash, because you and I both know it's relatively easy to transfer cash from one server to the other.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's when you really need to move gold, battle pets, that's the way to go. Cage them up and move them, and that's how I've originally branched out to other servers, and a lot of gold makers do that. That's how they start moving things over, and it pays off. But
find something cheap on one server, move it to another server. Yeah.
Yeah. So in your Garrison 7.0, I know you're doing the Jewelcraft dailies now. Do you plan to still do that for the Garrison resources, or is that dead to you too?
It's dead to me. I'm only using it for the gold right now. There's absolutely no reason for me to do that daily at all. I don't see myself. I'll continue with my alchemist, like same as you with Frostweave is still cheap, and I've got my tailor for making hexweave bags.
How many tailors do you have making hexweave right now in the bags?
Currently, just one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm glad I made the decision. I made a decision early on when I came back to have a lot of my alts with alchemy and tailoring, and that's kind of worked out for me. They've been very profitable, and I keep a guild bank almost full of hexweave bags all the time, and liking the increase in price that we're seeing right now. I'm not one of those guys that's saving them all for Legion, though. I'm selling them as I go. I'm not completely confident that they won't change their mind and at the last minute, introduce some new bag that's bigger, at a reasonable price, and then I'll wish I'd sold them.
Right. No, understandable.
Yeah.
Still hanging on to some of the transmogs. I think that's going to be big money in the beginning.
A lot of people are shying away from transmog right now because of the bank space, quite frankly. But with 7.0, they're going to introduce the little dressing room thing, and so you don't have to keep the stuff anymore. You can sell it or destroy it or whatever you need to do after you've learned it.
And a lot of the new players coming back with older tunes, if they're coming back for the expansion, may want to take a look if you have older characters and see if you have some rare transmogs, as you and I both found on some of our older characters on different server. That the Cindercloth vest is one thing that we.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise. Yeah, you never know what you're going to have, but. On the other, but we're kind of getting a little bit in the weeds, but it's our first show, and we're excited to be doing this. We have a lot of topic ideas that are on deck for future episodes when we bring them out, and but yeah. So basically, the Garrison 7.0, they're going to be worth keeping, but there's good news and bad news. The bad news is you're going to be making a lot less gold with them. The good news is you're going to have to put a lot less effort into them. So we'll be able to move on from them, keep some passive income. My gold that I'm going to be making from my garrisons is going to be a fraction of what I'm getting from them now. But I think it's gonna work out because I'm gonna get my evenings back a little bit. When you've got a lot of tunes that you're doing garrison chores on, it can get a little overwhelming. So anyway, good riddance to not having to spend as much time in the garrison.
There we go.
Okay, so our second topic is deflation in Legion. And a lot of people, when they hear me say that, they're going to say, you're out of your mind. There's going to be inflation in Legion. And you know what? It's a split community. I see a lot. I travel around to the different websites and watch the different YouTube videos and catch the different streamers that talk about gold making. And everybody's not on the same page on this. The gold cap is being raised to 10 million. And here's the thing about this. There seems to be a misconception with a lot of people that raising the gold cap instantly means we get inflation. And people that say we're going to have inflation, I am not going to argue with them. Hey, I think it's going to be deflation, but they could be right. But the people that think that there's going to be inflation because of the gold cap being raised, it's a fallacy. It's the idea of my piggy bank is bigger, therefore I have more money, is just wrong. So you're going to be able to have more gold, but the gold sinks that they're putting into the game, there is a 2 million gold mount that's on a vendor that is a spider mount, and I know a lot of people that are planning on buying that as soon as it comes out. And I won't be one of them. I thought about it, but I, in game, try to keep a little bit more of a low profile as far as gold making. I have found that when people find that you have gold, everybody needs a little bit of gold to pay for their gold token.
Find some long-lost nephew that wants to...
It's not much different than real life. And I'm one of those people that... if you ask, would you rather be rich or famous? There's no question. I would rather be rich and completely unknown, because when you're famous, you have a hard time holding on to that money. Everybody wants a piece. Everybody chases you. So I don't want people to know that I've got gold, because it's not good. It can be kind of a bad situation. Some people like the idea of, look at me, I've got this mount that costs 2 million gold. I would have a hard time. I can afford to do it, but I would have a hard time pulling the trigger on that because I'm the guy who doesn't have fast flying on all of his tunes because I won't spring for it. So I get kind of stingy with my gold, even to the point of being silly with it sometimes when I'm shopping for a deal. So yeah, that's not going to be me. I may get it eventually, but I think there are going to be a lot of them around the server before I get mine.
Yeah, and they're another thing they're doing. I mean, they are increasing how much gold you can have, but they're decreasing a lot of the ways that you can make gold, not just in the garrison. You've got the gold in dungeons is being dropped dramatically.
Yes. And not just a lot of people know about the Cataclysm dungeons being nerfed, where the amount of gold dropped by the bosses and the amount of gold that the drops sell for, it's all being reduced. It's not just the raids in Cataclysm. It's all of them, all the way down the line. They're all being reduced by a percentage. So yeah, you're right. That's a source of gold for a lot of people. Potions of luck being grayed out. That's going to cost people. You've got a lot of things that are happening there, and then you've got the new gold sinks. There's a bag, a 34 slot bag. I think it's 34, it might be 32, that sells from a vendor. It's a unique bag for $500,000. $500,000 gold. Now, I can promise you that if I have 300 million gold, which I don't have, but if I had 300 million gold, I would not spend $500,000 gold on a bag. It's silly when it's so close to the size of a hex weave bag. It's just ridiculous. There are people that will buy it. There is a pet, a battle pet, and not a very good one, that sells for, I think it's $1.5 million. So there are some gold sinks, and there are people that want those very unique things that nobody else has, like the spider mount. Kind of hard to argue when you see a guy on a 2 million gold spider mount argue that he doesn't have money, because you know that at least a little while ago he had gold. He might be completely broke now, but at least a little while ago he had 2 billion gold. So there are a lot of gold sinks that are being added, and there's a lot of passive gold that's being removed. So I believe that's going to really play into it. And it sounds like you and I are on the same page as far as that belief.
Oh, yeah. I definitely, I think certain items are going to go up in price, certain rare mounts, because now they can ask more for them. Right. In the auction house, some of those will go up. But for the most part, just because you've got a bigger, you can have more gold in your bank, doesn't mean it's going to be easier to make the gold.
Well, and I want to be clear too. When I say that I expect deflation, I mean it in the most basic terms of there is going to be less gold. I don't mean that prices are going to plummet. I don't mean that, because as a matter of course, some rare items like the seahorse mount in that zone that I will never go back to. The dumbest zone ever designed by... Okay, I'm not going to get into that. But that seahorse mount, which you almost never see popping up on the auction house, and when you do, you see it for about $1 million. You might see it for 700,000-800,000, but usually it's going to be, in the servers that I've seen it on, it's been about $1 million. Well, that's because the cap is $1 million. They can't go above that. When the auction house, when you can go above that, then people can ask for more. And if somebody really wants it, they'll pay more. So sure, there are some high ticket items in the auction house that are going to go up. But guess what else? The black market auction house, when a rare or removed mount shows up on that, the first person that wants it, that sees it, gets it. There isn't any back and forth. They go and they bid the maximum, and then nobody can outbid them, and they get it. Well, guess what? The maximum is going to be 10 times what it is now. So if somebody wants to grab something like that, they're going to have to pay $10 million to get it. Now, I don't think that that's going to happen a whole lot, but I do think that people are going to pay a whole lot more for, like, if Ashes of Alar shows up. if before I got it, if I had the ability to pay 2 million gold for it, I would have. I would have paid 2 million gold for that mount because I have wanted it for so many years. Now I have it. But I would have paid that. I would have had to been the first one to see it show up to get it because somebody else is going to bid max. Now the max is going to be 10 million. I wouldn't pay 10 million for it. I would pay at most maybe 2.5 is absolute tops that I would pay. So you're going to see more gold go out of the system because when somebody buys something on the black market auction house, that gold leaves the server. That gold is destroyed. It's not like the zero-sum game of the auction house where the money just gets moved around and Blizzard gets its cut that goes away. There's a 5% that goes away from auction house fees, but that's a little different. But the black market auction house is going to be the source of a lot of gold leaving the game. And I firmly believe that we are going to see more items show up that are very desirable items on the black market auction house because Blizzard, for the health of the servers, wants to see all that garrison gold go away. Yeah, they're going to want to see it leave the server. And because Blizzard wants deflation, and they seem to be doing everything to make that happen, I think it's going to happen. Because if what they're trying doesn't work, they'll try something else. So I fully expect deflation. I'm happy about that. I'm happy about that because I'm staying pretty liquid right now. I'm not heavily invested in items. I know people that have guild banks full of rare mounts and rare pets that they're holding on to for Legion. I'm not one of those guys. I'm pretty liquid right now. I feel like, yeah, there are certain things I could invest in, but I'm not heavily investing right now except for in I'm making sure I've got plenty of mats to make my hexweave bags and so forth, things like that. So anything else you want to say about the whole economy and
No, I think you and I are our economic outlook in the game are pretty similar.
Yeah.
I don't see the prices of everything going, shooting up there. I don't see, again, with them doing what they can to remove gold from the game. Again, in the dungeons and things like that, I just don't see this big increase of gold in the game that people are talking about. But we'll see what happens when the expansion comes live. And we'll see ways we can find to finagle a little gold out of the system.
Well, I think that's going to about do it for our first show. We really appreciate all of you joining us and giving us a listen and watching us stumble through our little rookie show. Thank you very much for joining us.
And we'll be back next week. We'll continue to see what's new in the game, continue to try to find new ways to make caches or sources of cash in the game with the changes that are happening. And hope to have you all back next week.
Go ahead and visit us on our website, goblingoldcast.com. If you go to iTunes or Stitcher, we're there, and would appreciate you subscribing to us there and giving us a listen every week. Take care.
Don't let the door hit you where the cataclysm splits you.